Hi, do you know what today's thought? And today's thought actually is going to be two thoughts, two related subjects. First one, Pete Hegseth, Trump's nominee for Secretary of Defense. Now, the focus that I've been seeing, all the speculation I've been seeing so far has been on Republican senators. Would there be enough Republican senators to confirm him? And obviously that's been on the assumption that there would be unanimous votes against confirmation on the Democrats, that no Democrat would vote for Pete Hegseth, and so it would depend on entirely Republican votes. And I won't go into the details. If you ask me to, I will in a future thought, which senators and the politics and all the finagling and maneuvering and all that. But mainly just that the assumption has been that no Republican senators no Democrat senators would vote to confirm Hegseth. But it was just reported today, the day I'm recording this, the day before you're seeing it, that Senator John Fetterman, Democrat from Pennsylvania, has agreed to meet Pete Hegseth. He is the first, maybe he'll turn out to be the only one, but so far we'll just say, because hopefully there'll be others, but the first Democrat senator to meet with Hegseth. And that raises an interesting question. Would he or could he vote for Hegseth? Which obviously then fewer Republicans would be needed. But that would be it would be really dramatic for that to happen. And that brings us to, we'll see how that pans out. We'll see what he says. But that brings me now to the second subject, which is John Fetterman himself. I'm one of many people, I'm sure, who was wrong about him. I considered him a very, very ultra-liberal person. And, well, that was kind of the impression. It's understandable to have that impression for what he said during his campaign for the Senate. Now, he had a stroke, and there was... he could barely speak, and the questions about his mental acuity. And I was one of these people, again, who had that question. And but his positions were very, very liberal. But now, maybe either I was wrong about him, or maybe he got changed from his stroke. But now and we should all be happy about this, that he seems to have made... Well, I don't know that much about stroke, so maybe it's not as rare as I think, but my impression is that he made a very unique recovery. He's pretty much completely recovered from a stroke. No slurring of speech. No, the only thing he needs is that when he has with his cell phone a word to text. A text to. A sound to text, speech to text conversion app, something on there. He can't, if you just talk to him verbally, I guess his brain cannot process it. I would call it in a way like a verbal dyslexia, because there are people who cannot read, not because they're stupid, but because of something in their brain mixes up the letters. I'm sure you all have heard about dyslexia. So they're very intelligent, but they just cannot read, and nothing to do with intelligence. And that seems to be the case with Fetterman, because now that he is recovered, he has to read, he has to see, or maybe it's just a crutch, to make sure he gets everything right. He has to see in text what is spoken to him, but when he speaks, he's very, he's intelligent and he's lucid. He's very, in that sense, he's very recovered, and his positions are surprisingly moderate to me. Strong supporter of Israel. That's number one, unusual for a Democrat these days, for a lot of Democrats. Almost unheard of for somebody as far left as I thought he was, which is why I think I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure I was wrong about him. But he's taken other positions, and it was just also announced today, he is the first, and again, I believe, the only Democrat, if he's the first, obviously, is the only Democrat he's on Truth Social, Trump's social media platform, equivalent to X or whatever, and he Fetterman is on it, and he posted I guess you can't call them tweets, whatever. Oh, Trump calls them truths, okay, Truth Social, and he calls what the post, he calls them truths. So I guess Fetterman put a truth on there, saying that, urging Biden, since he's doing all these pardons. That's another thing that happened today. 1,500 pardons issued today in one day. But among them, Fetterman is saying he should pardon Donald Trump. So that is another thing unusual. And I have another one here, I think. No, that's really it. And he seems to be, well, you know who he reminds me of? He reminds me of another name that came up today, again, Kirsten Sinema. She, along with Joe Manchin, another one, considers himself a conservative Democrat, and Sinema was a Democrat, became an independent, and she's retiring from the Senate. Well, she's not voluntary. She lost her primary. She ran as an independent and lost her primary. But anyways, there was a vote that came up the day before I'm recording this, and it was Wednesday. It was to extend the term for 5 years of a certain member of the Labor Relations Board. And this person, I forget her name, but she's very pro-union bosses, I guess. It would have messed up Trump a lot for her to get reappointed, and for another, because she would be there for his entire term, and he would not have a labor board that would, act according or rule according to his Trump's policy preferences and his agenda that he was overwhelmingly elected to implement. But an unusual thing happened because, well, the problem, I don't know what it is with these Republican senators, some of them. Well, I think some of them are actually, they're anti-Trump, either openly or implicitly or secretly, and I think they're trying to mess up his agenda. Because they want the traditional, country club old boy. Somebody like another potential vote that Republican vote to worry about, Mitch McConnell, who he gave, when the Republican, he gives no support. When the Republican, obviously you should want a Republican to win an election, and if it's a quote-unquote MAGA candidate, he won't support that candidate. He'd rather have the Democrat win than have a MAGA Republican in the Senate. So thank God he's not going to be a majority leader come January 3rd. Thank God. But anyways, so he was another one. The other three, by the way, there are three other ones that they're really worried about is Joni Ernst of Iowa, and Susan Collins of Maine, and Lisa Murkowski of Alaska. And for them, it's all about, well, they're all women, and that's not a coincidence. And they want, Hegseth is pledged to end, to get rid of all the wokeness in the military. And one really woke policy that was put into place by Leon Panetta in the Obama administration, who has no, to my knowledge, military background at all, and just suddenly decide that all combat positions have to be open to women. And Hegseth, he said that is a very bad idea, and you have these women, these very moderate women, especially Murkowski and Collins, who apparently want women in combat, and so he's going to be grilled on that, and that's why they're kind of doubtful. But now, as usual, I'm getting a little off the track. The point is, getting back to what I was talking about, is that this labor relations board, these Republican senators, a lot of them, they are not showing up for votes. So certain judges that would not be confirmed if all the Republicans showed up. Well, stick with the labor this labor nominee. I mean, she's already on the board, and Democrats want to Schumer wants to keep her on, and if all the Republicans would show up, they would lose the vote, or they could filibuster or whatever, but they don't show up. But what happened is Sinema and Manchin voted against extending this woman's term, and needless to say, Schumer is hopping mad over that because it's defeated. Just like when he wanted to end the filibuster to get certain things done, and Sinema and Manchin also again voted against it. I'm pretty sure Manchin voted, but I know Sinema voted against it. She made a statement and all that. So I'm wondering, the reason I bring up Sinema is because I wonder if Fetterman could be Sinema 2.0, that the Democrats were happy to see her go, but now you have Fetterman, and Fetterman, maybe he's very fair so far. I don't know. I guess he voted to confirm or to extend the term of this labor secretary. So that's a point against my theory, but he did say that. Well, he didn't, but I just have to wonder if maybe he'll be like I forgot his first name, but Van Drew. He was a moderate Republican in New Jersey, a moderate Democrat who switched to the Republican Party. Maybe we'll see the same thing from Fetterman, because he does seem to be voting. He's very more moderate than I thought. He does seem to vote with Republicans at least some of the time, and he's willing to. He's meeting with Hegseth, okay, and if he's the only Democrat to my knowledge, that's what was reported, that he was willing even to meet with Hegseth, and I don't know why he would reach out to meet with him. I think that's what happened, and if he didn't have at least. If he weren't at least entertaining the idea of voting for Hegseth, and then I would assume it would be, as far as he's concerned, smooth sailing in his mind for all the other Trump nominees, which is. It should be what Trump should do. I'm going to end on this. I might have mentioned this in the past, an earlier thought, but Trump needs to go before the public and make a public statement, because let's say this women in the military thing, he should women in combat. He says, well, Hegseth or any of my nominees, any of my people appointed, they are there not to implement their views, but to implement mine. So it doesn't matter what Hegseth believes about women in combat or anything else. He's going to be following my orders. And then I would go one step farther and say, Donald Trump question putting women in at least, frontline ground combat. And it doesn't matter who you nominate. You can pick, vote down Hegseth. I'll nominate somebody else, but whoever it is going to implement my policies, and I'm the commander-in-chief, and I'll just order it directly. If I get advice about women in combat, or if I don't think they should be women in combat, I'll just order them out of it myself. So you're not going, if you're trying to thwart a policy, you're not going to succeed. You're going to fail. You're wasting your time. And the whole, in any case, it should be merit, qualifications, which is what the state that Hegseth wants to bring the military back to. But you say, if my nominees, you just don't vote on what policies they might implement, just on their qualifications, because whoever you choose is going to implement my policies, and that's it. I'm going to throw, I'm on a roll today. I'm going to throw one more thought, because if he goes down, which I don't expect, but if he goes down, I would nominate, I wish I could get this to Trump, if anybody knows him out there, who's watching this, Elaine Donnelly. Now, that's not a name familiar to you, but she is a female military veteran who is very much against women in combat, and she even wrote a book about it, about the chapter and verse and the harm it's been doing. And I could go on about that sometime too. Maybe if you ask me and remind me, I'll talk about what she found. But I would nominate her then and say, okay, and then you're dealing with a woman who is against women in combat, and then hopefully get rid of the other wokeness. We'll have to see what happens. Anyways, okay, that's it. I've gone on enough today. I'll just say I got a couple of new subscribers in the last couple of days, and welcome. And this is what you're in for, okay? So this is what you signed up for, and I'm glad you did. And you're also signed up to share your thoughts with me. So there's a thought, comment section below the video. I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree with me. If more of you could subscribe, that would really be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it. But most of all, come back and see me again. I would love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.